Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. This panel is a discussion on finding efficiency and vehicle inventory in the service drive and supporting our technicians with tools that are available. I'd like to welcome our panel today. They are Jordan Najar with Cox Automotive, Tully Williams from the Nilo Company, Mike Weldon from the Hansel Automotive Group, and Marcos Wanenberg from Naples Luxury Imports. Gentlemen, welcome and welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much,
Ed.
You know, I'd like to start the conversation off, and Michael, maybe I'll come to you first. There are a lot of inventory challenges on the vehicle side right now in the automotive retail and have been for some time. Let's talk about the inventory in your service department, Mike, and how we look at that and how we source that inventory.
Oh, it's huge right now, Ted. I mean, if you get right down and look at it, when a customer comes in, you look at the opportunities that we have in the service drive. You look at how many hours you can sell on that car, or you look at how much gross you can generate on that car, or hours per repair order.
No!
Well, hold on, Tully, I'm not done yet. But, you know, at the end of the day, that's what you're doing. You're trying to drive more gross into the service department. And that's how we make money. It's hours per repair order, effective labor rate.
No!
All that. So what, Tully, tell me.
And Mike, this is historically how we have tracked that type of thing. And that's the thinking that we've had as managers for a long, long time. Tully, what's your take on that?
Well, I am a little disappointed in my good friend Mike. I know that he's just getting me all riled up, and boy, has he ever. I'm talking about we sell the technicians' inventory as their time they're here at your shop. Do you know your inventory? That's what we sell every day. Parts gross and parts total gross is a byproduct of selling that hour, which you have very little control of at a top level. But we have control of helping the technicians be successful. We have the power of giving them the opportunity to make those great inspections, make those great pictures and video, and give the customers all the opportunity. We are selling great recommendations that we sell our family members. That's what we do every day. And yes, we're also in the repeat and referral business. Mike, you got to get it straight, my good friend. We are selling the technician's time, my good friend Marcos, every day. What does he need to do? Go home tired and rich every day.
You know, to your point, Tully, and I knew that I was going to hit a nerve, and they hit the right nerve, and it's really important because that's the way we thought about it in this business. And you and I have been doing this for a long time, and we had an epiphany some time back, and we were looking at it all wrong. We were looking from front down. We weren't looking from the back up, and we weren't looking at our assets. And Marco is sitting he's an asset in a business that generates hours, that produces the gross, sells the parts, and we need to look at our business a little differently. Otherwise, we're going to chase everybody away.
Marco, let me come to you for your perspective.
As a technician, as every technician, there's one thing and one thing only that we sell: our time. That is it. Now, can you imagine you go to work tomorrow and none of your technicians show up? What happens to your parts inventory? It's not moving. What's happening to your hours? There are no hours. It all comes down to the technicians. How efficient and productive can we be? All of us on all levels, A, B, C, even like the master tax of all classes. This is where we need to work on. The technician needs to stay in their bay to make money.
Jordan, Cox Automotive has some amazing tools out there for retailers. What's your take on selling that hours inventory?
You know, I couldn't agree with Marco more that, the time that we have from the time that we show up and the time that we leave is all time that we cannot get back, right? So taking that into account and maximizing his time and all of the technicians' time is, the forefront of this business and making sure that we're evolving with this industry. Our products are designed around efficiencies. So yes, we have a suite of products that is designed to help the technician perform their job at a rate much improved upon from days past. So speaking in regards to, the opportunities that we have in the shop and what we can offer the dealers out there is improved efficiency where we can maximize the minutes that are ticking. So what we do is we offer a digital experience for that technician to capture and inspect a vehicle and stay in his hoist with the use of a mobile application, adding benefits and value to that experience for the customer through media capture. And on top of that, making sure that the efficiency of that workflow is consistent from the technician through the parts department to the advisor, and finally to top it off, the customer, right? So how quick can we inspect that car and get that in the customer's hands? So with Cox, our goal is to be efficient and maximize that hour and time that Marco is speaking of.
Tully, I like your perspective on it. I know, as Michael mentioned, you had an epiphany a while back. Okay. What brought that on, Tully, and why this focus on the hours? And why is that something that our audience needs to be focused on as well?
Well, I'm going to give full credit to my good friend, as yours as well. Randy Brinkman one day said, Tully, you're chasing the wrong thing. And he showed me what we do every day. And I can't believe it. It was like 15, 20 years ago. But boy, was I wrong when I realized we are only doing one thing and one thing only. And I think that was the epiphany where then my goal was to convince our teams that that's what we do every day. That's not easy to do. No, I just want you to know. You have every 20 group and everybody here fighting the fight about the old metrics. But if we key in pay plans and the entire team, when I mean entire team, I'm talking parts and service managers. I'm talking about counter people. I'm talking about foreman bonuses. I'm talking about service writer pay plans and any other pay plans that you might have for fixed has to come around an hours forecast. Yeah. And the way you come up with an hours forecast is that how many days does Marcos work? He fills out a calendar. I count the W's. W means he works. If he works 21 days times 10 hours is the forecast for my good friend Marcos. And why did I use 10 hours? Marcos doesn't like to work for 8 hours. Marcos doesn't want to work for 10 hours a day. He wants to work for at least 10 hours a day, plus. So we want to make sure we have a forecast that keeps everybody on point. And when we talk about our forecast, we must talk about it on a daily basis. This is not I look at the end of the month and see what we came up with. We talk about where we are on day 1, day 2, day 18, and day 21, 22, 23. We must talk about your forecast hours as a team everywhere. Our parts counter people are helping our technicians like Marcos to be better success by pulling those parts, bringing them to him, ordering those parts electronically. So Marcos does what? Stay in his stall and be productive. I want Marcos to be 150, 200% efficient on his daily allowance. If he's working 8 hours, my goal is to make him 12 to 16 hours per day. I want to monitor how he is doing on his recommendations and make sure that our service advisors and parts department are supporting those great sales. How do we do that? You talk about hours every day. And as you know, Ted, I talk about it probably too much.
Marco.
I don't think we talk about it enough, to be quite frank with you. I mean, the way I look at it, a productive tech is a happy tech. And when the technicians are producing, everybody benefits. From the parts department, we can hire more the support staff. We can, to accommodate the business. Our service advisors are more productive. The customers are happier because they're getting their cars back. I mean, no one ever looks at it that way. We always look at the other numbers, and the other numbers don't really produce the results. They're the result of how you conducted your business, and it's backwards thinking that I think it's time that we need to change. And then some of George's programs, basically, when you lay them out and you start showing people, they have that aha moment. Oh my God. And I sit down with a writer today and I'm working on percentages on close ratios on ASRs. I said, all right, let's take it another point. How many hours didn't you sell? How many hours do you need to sell before the end of the month to make up to that? And how much is that worth to you personally, as well as it is to the technician? So to your point, we're talking it up every single day. You have to. Tully, you've been on the bandwagon. I just wanted to join the parade because it's the way you got to think. And if we don't start thinking this way, with the advent of the EV and the BEV vehicles and everything, if we don't start thinking differently, I was good at shining shoes when I was a kid, so maybe I can refer back to that.
Marco, how is this music to your ears?
This is perfect. I mean, I'm blessed to work for a great dealership. We have a shop porter who goes and gets us our cars. We use an MPI to communicate with parts, with advisors, and we can see whether work was approved, what was approved, and all I have to do is hit it to, hey, come bring me my parts. So the only times I actually leave my bay is when I go have my lunch or I go test drive a vehicle. But for most of the time, I am in my bay. So if you want to talk about efficiency, you can start very simple with get one or two, depending on the size of your shop porters. Don't let us go out look for cars. I've wrote several articles about that on LinkedIn about how much money you're wasting with having your technicians, which are 150, 200% effective, looking for a car. It makes no sense. Now, you give me all the digital tools, because seeing sells. If you give me the digital tools that I can take pictures and seamlessly integrate them with an MPI, and it goes to the advisors, to a customer, and then it comes back, done deal. Perfect. If I have to hop and skip over 7 different applications to get a picture done, I'm sorry, but now I am wasting my time. I am not making money. We're all losing out. We all have to understand that at the end of the day, at the end of the month, it all came from the technicians. We sell the time, we inspect, we upsell, we sell the parts. So as long as dealerships are not catching on to that fact, that we're not the dirty dozen in the back anymore. No, we're the ones that keep the doors open. We're the ones that make everything happen. Make us as productive and as seamlessly integrated with technologies as you do with sales, for example.
You got to tell you, we're not talking technicians anymore. I'm talking assets.
I love
It's
it.
all about assets.
And Tully, you've made the choice early on to tie in those pay plans. Come back to that again, because you have brought parts and service together, working as one, as I know Mike has as well. Tully, talk to us about that, if that's okay.
Well, I think that, back in the day, parts and service hated each other. And that, I think I'm hoping and praying that most of it's gone. But I think that you really want to get people together as you tie their pay plans together. Our parts and service managers are paid exactly the same pay plan laid out. Service manager gets a little bit more of a percentage, but the whole point of it is that they're working together. So when they submit their hours forecast, which is the number of days their technicians are working, right? Times that by 10 hours a day, that's their forecast. The parts and service manager are on board because they're paid together. Step 2 are your service writers. So you count up the number of working days in a service writer, you divide that by the total hours, and guess what they have? The number of hours per day your service writers must sell to meet their forecast. So now they're tied to the forecast as well. The pay plan's exactly the same as our parts and service manager, except they're paid on their hours and their gross only. Next, the key issue is, how can a parts department help the efficiency of Marcos? As Marcos said, getting parts to them fast. Are they on board and are rewarded when the store does well? What do we need to do? We need to make sure their bonus is tied to our forecast percentage. They get a chunk of money if we hit 110, 120, 130%. They make more money for them and their families, is all tied together. So then finally, your foreman bonuses, if you have some, if you have a bonus for your porters or whoever, is all tied to that hours forecast. So now when you're talking hours, when we're broadcasting the hours forecast out to all of our shops, guess what we're all thinking about? Selfishly, how much am I getting paid for me and my family? Yes, but we're talking about the store focusing on the one thing and one thing only, is your tech's hours forecast, making sure we make sure that Marcos goes home tired and rich every day.
And Jordan, to these tools that you've got available at Cox Automotive, going back to your point earlier about the consumer, what we're really doing is you're making this convenient for customers, and you're helping to build trust and transparency with that consumer through these tools, which is helping the dealer accomplish their goals as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Marco mentioned earlier, being efficient, staying in the stall, totally speaking to pay plans, tying them into the parts department, the service advisors. What are we talking about? We're talking about cohesive, collaborative efforts, right? And ultimately, what this creates is a wonderful experience for the customer. And if we can accomplish that cohesive work relationship in an efficient way, we can maximize and ensure that that customer comes back. So in regards to the tools, we want to make sure Marco is supported with these fundamental software tools where we can capture the video, the pictures, and we can get that to the parts department in an efficient, timely manner with ease to quote, and then that can be easily handed off to the advisor. Well, everyone can stay at their workstations, but also communicate remotely with each other. So with that team effort and pay plan goal in mind, everyone is on board to get that technician's hours attached to parts, loaded up with the advisor, reviewed, and in the customer's hands within minutes. So the ability for these products to play a tremendous role in our hours being sold is not only to capitalize on the initial concerns the customer comes in for, right? But let's identify what else that car needs, right? So we can take those hours, Marco, and we can package those up with a complete quote, and we can send that to that customer within minutes. Now, the beautiful thing about this package quote is no different than UPS, for example. All right. Our technicians are in the warehouse. They're doing the work. They're packaging up, the desired deliveries, loading those onto the trucks for the parts department, and we're giving those over to the advisors to have delivered. It's no different for that advisor's responsibility to get that package in the customer's hands and get it quickly. Amazon's a multi-billion-dollar company for a reason. They figured it out. They can get your products to you and they can get them quick, right? So efficiency, getting that quote in the customer's hand, and the ability to be interactive. So here I am as a customer. I'm not necessarily available by phone, but here I am with a text message with a beautiful photo of my ball joint that's falling apart from Marco, and the ability to approve, see the video picture, and send it back to the store within minutes of receiving it. So while that car is on the hoist, we want to be very conscientious of the time that is spent from the time it's put up to the time that it comes down. So maximizing those minutes is crucial.
Yeah, and I think also, Jordan, it comes down to retaining our business. I heard the phrase somewhere, repeat and referral business, and that's really what we are in. Tully, perhaps you could speak to that.
So I think that, Jordan's spot on. When you look at it, what we're trying to do is are we easy to do business? Because the holy grail is retention. The holy grail is repeat and referral. And our goal is that the best hour, the best car for Marcos to work on is what? The car on the rack today. So we want to make a product that we can use that X-Time provides for us is that the technician can do a multi-point on their phone, tablet, or PC, whatever they want. I don't care. The next is they mark it easily. When they have a recommendation, we want them to take a picture and or video of everything. Why? Because we know that we will double our sales if we take pictures of red items and yellow items. Right. So our goal is to make sure that we get those yeses on those quotes. So when we build that quote, parts department does their job. God bless every one of them, putting the parts in. The service writer caps it all together, sends it to the customer, and guess what the customer does? Uses their thumb to say yes, and then it sends it back to Marcos, say, Marcos, fix my car for me, my good friend. The parts gets notified. We ship the parts out. This is the holy grail of our businesses. It's too hard to say yes sometimes. We play phone tag. Can you believe it? We all know that we answer the phone not very well, but we can answer text and we can answer it. So what? Marco stays in his stall. The car is on the rack. The parts get ordered, and we get a yes answer today. And guess what happens? Our customers who pay the bills are extremely happy. Why? Because they trust us with the pictures and videos that Marcos does for us. And it's easy to say yes. My shop just sent me a picture of my car, and I need a cabin filter. Yes, boom, we get it done.
Mike, your take on making it easy for the customer.
Oh, it's essential. And to Tully's point, it doubles. And the thing, and the surveys tell you the outcome. The customers say, I appreciate the honesty. I appreciate the clarity. The customers get it and they look at it. The videos really help if you got a mechanical issue that they don't fully understand, because some people look at their car and that's the first time they've seen the underside. But you can show them a video, you can show them what's going on with the vehicle. And then if you walk them through, the important thing is when you send it, you got to follow up with a call, because most people are not mechanical. So we make sure that within 5 to 10 minutes, the service writer is calling that customer, says, do you have any questions on the information I just sent you? Car's on the rack. I can get it done for you today. I have the parts in stock. All I need is your approval. If you can approve that, then we'll get going on it. If they have any questions, or if the customer says I'm on a budget, you then work the customer through a process. Well, this is what you should do today, or you need to do today. This is what you can probably do later on down the line. So you have that ability to communicate with the customer until you get into their comfort zone. And guess what? To Tully's point, it's repeat business. It's retention. These customers come back numerous times because they know they can trust you. You're not trying to go for the jugular, and you're just being upfront and honest. Why we didn't transition to this years ago, I don't know, but I tell you, it's an epiphany, and I'm not turning back. I can't. It's too exciting to see customers really get excited about it.
Yeah, and we are here now. Marco, I need your take from the technician's point of view.
From the technician's point of view, they're called lifts, Pat, not hangers. Speed is of the essence. When I check out a car, when I diagnose it, when I do my MPI, I need to have clear, precise, and speedy communication. Taking a car back off the lift, bringing another one in, I am losing time. The faster we can get this process going, but I make my recommendations. Here's my images, my videos, my explanation. Parts, boom, goes over to the service advisor. Service advisor knows immediately that the car is A, on my left, ready to be worked on. B, the parts are here. If the parts are not here, what is the ETA on these parts? So it's an immediate communication, speedy and precise with the customer. We always talk about follow-up. Why do we follow up with customers after the car is fixed? I really like the point that was just brought up. About 10 minutes after this information is sent, well, why don't we follow up? Sometimes people are like, well, I don't know what I'm looking at. Can't blame them. Sometimes I don't know what I'm looking at because cars get really, really complicated. So follow up with that, but keep the process fluent. Keep it going. Sometimes I'm puzzled as to why we call our jobs fixed ops, because there's nothing fixed about it. Keep it fluid. Keep it going. Speed is of the essence for income, for precise communication, and for efficiency in the entire shop and parts.
There you go. That's it.
Tully, Jordan mentioned that perishable commodity being the time. Tully, talk to us a little bit about unapplied time. Your friend of mine, Randy Brinkman, and I had a conversation about that recently. And how does that enter into this?
So when you look at unapplied time, two things happen with unapplied time. If you have inefficiency in technicians, your unapplied time is high. And the way I look at unapplied time is I want some. You know what it is? It's the overtime rate that we have to pay out. I want it to be large. If Marcos is very efficient, if he's running 150% and has 2 hours a day, God bless Marcos. So the goal is that you must break out your unapplied time to find out the inefficiencies of technicians and then coach and mentor them and show them how to become more efficient. How can they make more money for them and their family? You dissect what happens, because all those hours turn into a huge amount of dollars if wasted hours are in it. Here at the Nilo Company, and God bless America, I'm going to hit on the thing. We have very, 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 I said it too many times, very little unapplied time because of tech efficiency, because our mindset is what? Make our technicians rich and tired every day. If you have that mindset, your unapplied time will drop. If your unapplied time is due to overtime, as long as he is efficient, God bless America. So you got to work hard on what that number is, dissect that number, and then see what really is in that number. Make sure the office isn't putting something in there that don't belong in there.
Mm-hmm. Mike Weldon, your perspective over at the Hansel Automotive Group on this.
Well, I got to take it to a different angle. It's not only the technician and their efficiency and their productivity or proficiency, as we call it today. It's also the proficiency of the service advisor when that vehicle's on Marco's rack and they're getting it back to him in a timely manner, because every time he has to take it down, we're losing time. We can't get that time back. X time, I love the report that they've got from the time that the RO is generated to the time that it hits the technician, to the time the technician inspects it, to the time that it goes to the parts department to pull the parts, to the time it goes to the service advisor, and then how much time it takes before the service advisor reviews it and gets it back to the customer, and to the time it gets back to the technician and time he gets job done. It's all time. And if you look at that, there's so many inefficiencies in our process that if you use these mechanisms, you can cut down on it, and we can make sure that our assets, to Tully's point, goes home very tired at the end of the day. And I welcome them back with a cup of coffee tomorrow morning, because we're ready to do it all over again.
Jordan, I'll give you.
Red Bulls.
Oh, Red Bull?
Send them home. Red Bulls.
No, Marco. Jordan, I'll give you the last word on this. What do you say?
I think this is a great topic, Ted. And, hours are extremely important, and we got to take advantage of these hours while the car's at the shop. The customer is waiting for that car, right? It is the second most often largest purchase of their life, right? So we want to be sensitive to that. And, maximizing the products and the digital tools that are out there is going to help us all achieve the goals with maximizing the hours and time of these technicians. And, being considerate of those hours. Not every hour is sold, right? Not every hour is sold today. And we're aware of that. We want to maximize that. So using these digital tools, when we don't sell that hour today, Marco, we are automating the integration to remarket these hours to our customers tomorrow. Right. So we want to make sure that we're maximizing the opportunities of these tools that you've invested in today to capture those hours. And we will make sure that we can get that back in the customer's hands at a later time. Maybe it will allow for that approval to come back in the door. So really appreciate the opportunity here. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to visit our website, coxautoinc.com.
Jordan, if I didn't know any better, I'd say it's all about the hours.
I would have to agree.
Hey,
Tully?
I would love to say this, is that the power of the X-Time suite is this. We talk about all the electronic things, but here's the benefit in this, and I have firsthand knowledge of that, is that we have a partner that helps us be successful. As you all know, if you don't know, Jordan is our performance manager for the Nilo company. Jordan and I talk to each other constantly, and our service managers, service advisors, and even technicians, if he needs to, love Jordan because we're helping them be successful. When you buy a software product, we pay them to come and teach us the product, and then they vanish away. Jordan sometimes has to talk to our service managers multiple times a month. If he needs to, he does. And that is the power of having a partner in a vendor. It is a true partnership to help you be successful, because the way I look at it, if we're successful, then Jordan, and I believe X-Time, is successful as well.
You bet.
Amen. And partnering with both of you guys has been a pleasure. Absolute pleasure. It really is a lot of fun. So it's a great industry to be a part of. And thank you for that, Tully.
Yeah, Tully said he'd let me borrow you, but he's going to sell me your time.
I'll send you the quote, Mike.
Marco, I'll give you the very final word since you are working on those vehicles. Let you go.
What I would like to see, I've been doing this for a long time. I've seen vendors and technologies come and go, but to the point of Tully, having the support from the vendors, not just for 10 minutes when you're trying to set it up, but continuous support. What I have noticed is the vendors that are successful with their products and the software suites are the ones that actually talk to the people that have to work with it and listen to them and actually take our advice, take our word of, well, we don't like this, or this could be better, or actually take that and integrate that in future updates of their software and their product. And this is where you win. You have to listen to the people that are actually having to do it. On paper, everything looks great. So did the Titanic. And look what happened.
Ran into an iceberg.
Love it. We'll have to leave it there, everybody. Cox Automotive has the tools to help you sell more hours, that vehicle inventory in the service drive. CoxAutoInc.com is the place to go. I want to thank our A-list panel today, Jordan Najar from Cox Automotive, Tully Williams from the Nilo Company, Mike Weldon from the Hansel Automotive Group, Marco Zwanenberg, technician extraordinaire from Naples Luxury Imports. Gentlemen, I want to wish you and your families a happy Thanksgiving, and thank you so much for all you do for fixed operations.
Thank you, Ted, for
Thank you
everything you
all.
do, and happy
Thank you,
Thanksgiving.
Ted.
everyone.
Thanks for everything.
Same to y'all.
Cheers.
The Cox Automotive panel here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.